Our Vince Gerasoli was at the Vatican when the Chicago native became Pope.
Vince has had a long day and night, but he is with us live now. And Vince, tell our viewers what it was like to witness that moment in person.
You know, I'm going to be honest, I got teary. Just to be a part of history, first of all, but to also be part of just such a hopeful moment. I mean, there were 100,000 people gathered in St. Peter's Square and the avenues leading up to it. And they all were there for one purpose, to unite behind a person, a faith, an idea that brings people together and has us there for one another, for our brothers and sisters. That was really something extra special. And I don't think I'm going to forget that feeling anytime soon. I'm not going to forget how I felt also, and I'm sure you feel the same way, when we heard that there's an American Pope. And guess what? He was born in Dalton and raised in Dalton, went to St. Mary the Assumption. I mean, we've got a Pope from Chicago, and that's really nifty, and that's really cool. And among the prestigious universities and institutions where he studied, he also studied in Hyde Park at the Catholic Theological Union. And those ties to Chicago are important, but we also have to say that he spent a good portion of his career away from the city of Chicago, specifically in Latin America and in Peru, working really with the poorest of the poor. And that really opens a window into what his worldview is and what his views are as a Catholic, and probably what his views will be as the pontiff, as the person who leads the church forward. Just an idea of the person he is. He speaks 5 languages. When he stepped out in front of St. Peter's today on the balcony, he spoke 3. He spoke Latin, he spoke Italian, and he also spoke Spanish. In fact, a lot of the cardinals who come from Latin-speaking countries were known to say, he's one of us. That's extremely important. You know, the Pope has to be an administrator, so let's take a look at his job as an administrator. He was made a cardinal in 2023. He came here to the Vatican, and he was responsible, it's this big fancy word, he worked in the dicastery for the office that was sort of recruiting bishops, vetting bishops. What did that do for him? That gave him a chance to form one-on-one relationships with a good portion of the people who are driving the Catholic Church right now, who are the people who are deciding what's important for their individual communities, and also for the people who are following sort of a pastoral path. And that's one of the things that his predecessor, Pope Francis, worked so hard on, was to make sure that those who were in positions as cardinals or as bishops were also pastors. So we need to celebrate the fact that he's an American, but also keep these other facts in mind and how that might influence his worldview and the direction the church takes in the future.
Vince, everyone is watching, and in a way, I guess you could say the world is watching and listening. So what happens next? How does this work for a brand new Pope to go out knowing that everyone is listening, looking for clues about how he will handle his papacy? What happens next, and how will we learn ultimately what he's going to do or potentially change moving forward?
Well, I think one of the most important things is the same thing we do with the President of the United States. Where is the first country that the president visits? And what message does the president want to give with that visit? And that's something that we will look toward with this Pope. It wasn't his first visit, but we do know that Pope Francis, his predecessor, visited Asia to help spread the message that even though the Catholic population in Asia was quite small, it was an important place for growth. So I would say that would be one of the most important things to see with Pope Leo is, where will he visit? What will his outreach be? And also take a look at some of his next appointments. There will be vacancies for cardinals and bishops, and that will be very telling in the months ahead.
Vince Gerasoli live from us from St. Peter's Square. Thank you, Vince.
Thanks, Vince.